Hey there everyone, Luke here. Now before I get into the review, just want to say one very quick thing. Go and watch mine and Tyler's retrospective on Ben 10, the classic series, and also me, Tyler, Pyjams and Son Getsu, all from Control Chaos. We've all in the last few hours before this video goes up been starting watching Ben 10 Alien Force, which I've got to say, loving it so far from what I've seen. It's had a lot more moments which have just been like smiling a lot of the times, and thankfully no more bickering from Ben and Gwen. Oh, that really did get annoying in the classic series. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and we hopefully at some point in the near future you'll be seeing our full thoughts on Alien Force as a whole. But for now, let's just dive right into Yozakura because, oh my God, you think it was exciting for me finishing Ben 10 classics, getting into Alien Force. What happens in this chapter of Yozakura? Oh. Okay, so this will be chapter 232, titled Kengo and Hulang. Now, you see, this is more likely because the whole chapter is basically focused on this fight between Kengo and Hulang. And side note, Mission Yozakura has caught up to Dr. Stone in terms of the initial run of chapters, because Dr. Stone ended on chapter 232, Mission Yozakura is up to 232, so let's give Mission Yozakura a round of applause. It's going to surpass Dr. Stone, and like I said, it's probably going to end in like the 260 chapters, around about then. Like, I would say 280 at max for Mission Yozakura. I'd say that is fair. I'd say that is pretty fair. So anyway, we start off from the end of the last chapter where Kengo is using his ability of simulation to actually get into Hulang's mind and see her memories and figure out, like, okay, what's the whole deal going on with her? Why is she like this? As we get the capture saying, the clue to finishing this fight is in Master's past. I'm going to find it. As we see flashes of Hulang's past, ranging from when Kengo was a baby. So when Kengo was a little tyke, and you see her petting him on the head, you see him on her shoulders. It's basically giving the impression, before we get the messed up backstory of Hulang, that she sees Kengo as her son, as like a surrogate son for her, basically being the one that, yeah, he could be the kid that I always wanted, but due to circumstances I never got the actual chance to actually have. So as Kengo is going on and being like, oh, now that I'm in your head, I win. I've got control over your memories. You can't attack me, Master, because I'm a kid now, and we all know that you are not one to attack kids. So brace yourself, Master. And as Kengo is saying all of this, we see Hulang actually trying to attack him with his whip, and then he's just like, oh, what the hell, Master? How is this going on? I thought I knew your weakness. I thought you were someone who would never attack kids no matter what, and yet you're now attacking me. Like, what the hell is going on here? And Hunan's just like, oh, who knows? We're presently in a shared space between our minds. Perhaps you have a subconscious that wishes that I treat you this way. So I guess Kengo's like subconscious is just like, whip me, Master. It doesn't matter what form I'm in, just whip me. Like, okay, I know the Yozakuras have some strange things about them, but like, is this what Kengo always felt? The fact that, oh, why is she being so harsh on all the adults, but not being harsh on me when I was a kid? I wanted to be treated harshly. Is that what he really wants? Yeah, it actually does seem like that, because he says, I can see that. So I guess this is kind of what he wanted. Who knows? So Hulang continues on and says, like, wow, so this is your blooming, Kengo. It's the first time I'm ever experiencing this. Thanks to this, I needn't go into excessive detail. Everything will come across. So how convenient for you. You've made it just as easy for me as you're just going to be finding it out just as easily. As they continue on and say, figure that was on purpose, wasn't it? You aren't stopping enough to let that little trick fool you, Master. You deliberately let me go through all the trouble to get this roundabout way to talk. It's because you're being watched somehow, some way by Asa, because you've gone in cahoots with Asa in order to meet your son. and as he reiterates to us, but also to Hulang, her backstory of just being like, oh, long ago, you were an instructor for spies. You were you were a regular spy in a small European country, and you travelled the world in secret for your country. But along the way, you fell in love with a country's politician and eventually conceived a child. So, yeah, you can see where this is going now. Like I said to Tyler and Pie Jams on Control Chaos, this is probably one of the darkest chapters we've had in a long while. I mean, we got the idea of just Asa mutilating everyone to in order to create his children, but this also is pretty dang up there in terms of darkness because because Hulang knew too many dark secrets. It was basically in the sense of like the world government for One Piece, where you find out too many secrets. It's like, no, we're gonna have to take you out here. So she knew too many dark secrets and and if she wanted to raise the child in safety, she had no choice but to defect and go into hiding. So essentially being like, yeah, she knew in this small European country what they're getting up to, and she's like, yeah, I want to raise my child and my son in an environment where I don't have to go through this. So I'm gonna book it to another country, but she failed to get away from her escape plan, and she was even hoping to leave in secret with her lover, but her lover was the one who basically sold her out to the government. The one person that she fell in love with, conceived the child, ended up backstabbing her. As they go on to say, our country's politicians obviously on all of the mind. There were always ones who wanted to get rid of you because you knew too much. It's like, yeah, know too much, know too much and everything. Yeah, we can't have you around, so gotta get rid of you. But not only that, it goes even further than what Keigo was actually. It goes further than basically the lover betraying her. Basically, he was trying to maneuver Hulang into committing a crime against the country, and then giving her no choice but to defect. And we even get her basically begging to her lover, like, look, please, you've caught me and everything, but please, my child is innocent. Our child is innocent. Yeah, I like that she says our child. They're like, please, it's your child just as much as my child, so please let them just be born so that they don't have to bear the sins of the mother. As we get the dickish lover saying, I'm sorry, we have the name blanked out, so I'm assuming this is Hulang's real name, because it's mentioned in the chapter later on in the chapter that she took on a different alias, which was Hulang. So I'm assuming this is like her real name being blanked out here. And yeah, they probably forced her to have an abortion. More than likely, they forced her to have an abortion, because we see that the thing that Keigo was touching at the end of the last chapter in the safe. I assume it was something like that. If I can go back and quickly look at it. Keigo was holding something, so I assume it was what was here, which as we continue on, they say there's no as even though Keigo is apologising for what he's actually seen, Hulang's like, oh, there's nothing you need to apologise for. It was my fault for being young and gullible. My story wasn't an unusual one back in the day. After the operation, one of the nurses took pity on me. It was a boy, she said. This is the only piece of him they could take. So yeah, he was pretty much aborted. Like, there was no way of getting around this. This kid was aborted. It was either aborted or just allowing the kid to defect. After the operation, one of the nurses took pity on me. My story wasn't. No. More than likely aborted. And she gave a piece of the umbilical cord that Hulang used to sleep with because it was the last piece of her unborn son. I repeat that she slept with a piece of the umbilical cord because it's presumably the last piece of her unborn, aborted son that she had. My God, that is dark and depressing. Like, seriously, I hope like people who are enjoying the anime, yeah, enjoy the earlier parts as you can, because my god, it's gonna get into some really dark, intense shit later on when we get into the anime, particularly around the second season or maybe the third season when we actually do get to Asa. So Keigo finishes off the memories by Keigo finishes off the memories by saying that right after I had gotten the hang of disguising myself, I wanted to play around with everything and maybe pull pranks on you. So I went to look at your safe, but once he opened it and found the umbilical code, he was looking at it and thinking like, what is this? Before we see Hulan just standing behind him like, Keigo, but giving like the intense death glare of like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you better put that back or else all bets are off here. Yeah, and at that point, Keigo was just like scared, as he said, scared the bejeebers out of him that night. Like, yeah, that look of just like the intense death glare. It's like, yeah, you don't want to mess with someone who gives off that vibe. But for Hulan, it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't my intent. And I do feel like she did intend to that, but like Kengo was like messing about with the last piece of supposedly onboard son. Like, yeah, I think anybody would be right to be really pissed off about that. Before she goes on and says that she was in prison after a failed attempt to defend, and after a year later, civil war ripped her country apart, and with her own gun, she had to move to Asia and gave herself the name Hulang, which makes sense. Like, I feel like she felt when her son was taken away from her that the person that she was in her own country, like, that person was dead to her, so she adopted this new name. Like, now I don't know if we're actually going to find out what her true name is, but I assume that we're going to find it out at a later date, but I could be wrong. I mean, we probably won't have time for it, but I guess we're kind of leaving it up in the air, like, maybe we'll find it out, but at the same time, that's not important. It's basically to showcase, like, look, that person who I was, they're dead. I am now Hulang. I am a completely different person. I told myself I let go of my past and live on as I pleased. What I thought I discarded, he came along and picked it right back up, referring to Asa, which, to be fair, I can understand now, like, understand Hulang's reason for betraying the Yozakuras. Like, she basically just wants to be her mother, like, have that opportunity to be the mother that she could not want to be, and you can really sympathise with that notion that she would want to be, that, and it makes sense, like, why she would be more lenient on kids but not on adults. Like, that makes perfect sense now. So we get the inevitable meeting between Hulang and Asa, where he mentions that it will take time for my technology to be completed. Allow me to provide you with the means for maintaining your body as a mother until then. So basically, he's giving her a way of being like, look, I can help you be a mother again. You've just got to do exactly as I say, and which is, in exchange, I would like you to watch over my descendants of my clan and ensure that the Yozakura family's entire prosperous continue. So it's a very simple trade to it. It's like, okay, I'll get to be a mother and I'll get to have that life that I always wanted in exchange for watching over this family, making sure, like, yeah, they don't follow off the path and they just follow Asa's way to the left, which, again, like I said, I can understand totally where Hulang is coming from here. She had her life entirely stripped away from her and forced to abort her child, forced to abandon her position of being a mother, even after she fell in love with this person despite being a spy, and it's like, you can't really blame her for her actions here. But she goes on and says that Yozakura, the Japanese spy family, I may not have met any of them, but that ought to be simple. Do you honestly believe that I'd want to birth a child sneered by the man who betrayed me? And yeah, I wouldn't either if I was Hulang, if I was in her shoes. She goes, Asa, No, this is Hulang saying this. So she says, humans are a tangled mess of contradictions. I'll wait as many years as it takes. I'll give it for. And after that, she began a decades-long career as an instructor for spies until she came into contact with Keigo. And this was the point where she's like, oh crap, this is going to come into path now. I've got to make sure that he is staying on the path and not going away from Asa. So it was ever a case that she's betrayed him. it's the fact that she was never on his side to begin with. Like, she always viewed herself as an enemy of King, like building himself up just to knock him back down. That was basically her plan from the start, and she was doing all and she saw Keigo as kind of like a surrogate son, but at the same time she knew that he wasn't her son, and it must have broken her to be like, oh crap, this kid is basically giving me the chance to be the mother that I've always wanted to be, but at the same time I'm building him up so that I can break him back down. Like, such a complicated and complex issue that she's going for. Like, does her motherly instincts are kicking in, but at the same time she knows what her mission is to build this kid up just to break him back down. She can't be an ally to him, so she can never be a real mother to him, because she's always going to be viewing him as, this is the enemy, I'm always going to be an enemy to this kid. And she apologized to him before she slashes away all them at the mirrors and basically blows them up before using her whip to force Keigo back. And she goes on and says, we've known each other too long. Getting out of one of your holes is easy. That's enough chit chat. Now it's time for domination, and you and the Yosakuras are done for. So goodbye. So it's really sort of sad. Like, again, like I said, Hulan got the chance to be a mother to Keigo in a way she couldn't be for her own son. But also at the same time, also working for Asa, his sworn enemy, just building him up to break him back down. And it's like, oh my god, this series just has really complex motivations from its antagonists. Yeah, you gotta give it that. But of course, we're now moving on to the big climax of the chapter, and you've seen the thumbnail. It's going to be in the thumbnail. You know what it is, and I called it. I did say a few chapters ago that the whole reason they've probably brought in the gold rank spies is not only to have fights for the other siblings, because if it was just Asa and his kids, then it wouldn't be a fairly balanced fight. Like, the kids could just swoop in and could either dominate the Yosakuras or be dominated by the Yosakuras. But the fact that we've got the gold rank spies here means that we can all have individual fights, and the reason, but primarily one of the main reasons is to show off the true spring berries of all the Yosakuras. Keigo has one here, so if Keigo has one, naturally all of them have the true spring blooming, because Keigo is not one of the more frontline fighters. I assumed it was just going to be like Shinzo, Futaba, and Koricho, because they are like the three primary fighters of the Yozakura families, aside from Taiyo, but he's the main character. Like, out of the siblings, they're like the three big guns, whereas Kengo and Shion and Nanano are more of the ones that are like the supporting roles. So the fact that Kengo is getting his true spring blooming in his fight here pretty much means that they're all gonna have true spring bloomings. I'm just getting that out of here now. You've had enough time to read the chapter, so you know what's coming. But yeah, Keigo says to himself, "Oh, you're a liar, master. You never let you let me into your heart on purpose, so you can get me riled up. But the whole time you kept the most hidden parts, kept the most hidden parts hidden." And he's going on and saying like, "Oh, why is none of the grown-ups I know can ever just be honest with me? Like, they're always treating him as like, hey, why you always treat me as a kid? Like, what have I done to deserve this? I am a grown-up now. I deserve to be treated as a grown-up and not have any secrets be hidden from me." As we cut to Keigo getting a pep talk from Momo via recording, because of course it's Momo. He has to act like Jigsaw from the Saw films. So he goes on. So Momo says, about the way for you to get stronger. You remember Hulang, right? Your disguise teacher. Spend time with her, a whole lot of time, like all day, every day. Do that, and I don't know, maybe you'll probably get stronger, maybe. If I try to explain all the fiddy details, you'd get bored and fall asleep. And Keigo's just like, oh, could you be more vague? But fair enough, you've got a great point about me just falling asleep. So he's basically like, yeah, if I listen to all the excruciating details, I'll probably get bored, be like, oh, I'm going to go and have a sleep. But Momo says, your sensitivity is your greatest weapon, but you can watch others too much. If you're going to surpass a simulation, you need to observe someone you can't figure out. And one of them being Hulang herself, because she keeps so many secrets to herself. She's a very mysterious character, right down to the point we don't even know what her real name is. So it goes on and says, do that long enough and you'll find your own path, I promise you. As Keigo brings himself back into his regular form, it's just like, okay, master, I understand now. No more tricks or traps from here on out. It's a head-on clash, fair and square. Pay close attention to your final student's greatest moment. I totally hate the idea of having to hit you, Master, because not only is that a pain for you, it's a pain for me because it's gonna scratch up my perfect skin. But this is gonna be my first and last physical sparring match, so he's gonna go all out, all balls to the wall, proper cat-like Keigo, as we see his skin turning white all the way as he activates his true spin booming fan glory, and that's where the chapter ends. So. Yeah, pretty good chapter. A nice chapter between Ulang and Keigo without cutting away from everything. I feel like that's how we're gonna do the fights from here on out. When we get to Futsuba's true spin blooming, we're gonna just focus entirely on that fight. It's gonna be just these fights one after another, and maybe we'll get four or five chapters worth of these fights. Now, obviously, the next chapter is going to be like explaining what Keigo's true spin blooming is, but I'm actually gonna type in Feign Glory and just find out what that actually means, what that one word actually means. So Feign Glory. Feign Glory meaning, which means excessive pride in oneself or one's achievements, excessive vanity. So what that means for as an opposite to a simulation, I don't know. I guess it's probably going to be a case of like whatever Keigo says, or whatever attack he does, it attacks perfectly in the way he wants to, or makes her skin, or makes Hulang's skin super hard and super shiny, or something like that. Basically, probably turns her skin rock hard, so that he can polish it, so she basically becomes like a statue. I guess he would have the powers of petrification from Dot Stone. I don't know. There's a million ways you could take excessive pride in oneself, something like that. So yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, like I said, pretty good chapter, just focusing on Hulang and Keigo and finding out Hulang's backstory, which is one of the darkest backstories we've got in a while. But considering we've had Momo and then we've had Asa, I don't think it's gonna top that. I don't think anything will top Asa, but. Hey, I could be wrong. Something could top Asa, but when you mutilate your own child and talking about that, and talking about like, oh, that's for the benefit of mankind without any regard for your children. Yeah, I think this, while high up, it's not at the Asa level. I think it's more like the Kamoshita level of like messed up. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.